Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India and Ghana elevate bilateral ties to comprehensive partnership, decide to further strengthen cooperation in counter-terrorism efforts, set a target to double the bilateral trade in 5 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi conferred with the National Honour of Ghana, Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana. Prime Minister accepts an award on behalf of 1.4 billion Indians. Iran ends cooperation with UN nuclear watchdog after Israel and US strikes. Washington calls it unacceptable. Also says Tehran's nuclear program degraded by up to 2 years due to strikes. US stock indices on fresh records following a trade deal with Vietnam. Oil prices jump after Iran suspends cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. Shubman Gill's stunt puts India on balance against England on day 1 of the Edgbaston Test. India and Ghana agreed to elevate their relationship to a comprehensive partnership after Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with President of Ghana, Dr. John Dramani Mahama. The two leaders discussed global issues of mutual interest, including UN reforms. 4 MOUs in the fields of culture, standards, Ayurveda and traditional medicine and joint commission mechanism for engagement between foreign ministries were exchanged. Tapas Bhattacharya brings this report from Accra, the capital city of Ghana.
India and Ghana on Wednesday elevated their ties to the level of a comprehensive partnership after Prime Minister Narendra Modi held wide-ranging talks with President John Dramani Mahama.
आज राष्ट्रपति जी और मैंने हमारी द्विपक्षीय साझेदारी को कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव पार्टनरशिप का रूप देने का निर्णय लिया है। घाना के राष्ट्र निर्माण की इस यात्रा में भारत केवल एक सहयोगी नहीं बल्कि एक सहयात्री है।
Both sides held discussions on a wide range of issues from boosting bilateral trade and digital payment systems to maritime security and cybersecurity. In defense and security, the two nations pledged deeper collaboration guided by the principle of security through solidarity.
हमारा द्विपक्षीय व्यापार $3 बिलियन पार कर चुका है। भारतीय कंपनियों ने लगभग 900 प्रोजेक्ट्स में लगभग $2 बिलियन का निवेश किया है। आज हमने आपसी व्यापार को अगले 5 वर्षों में दोगुना करने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है।
4 key agreements were signed, paving the way for cooperation in diverse areas, including culture and traditional medicine.
The two sides have engaged in significant discussions to deepen cooperation across various sectors of our economy, including agriculture, energy, manufacturing, infrastructural development, human resources, and health, amongst others. On the strength of the successful engagements, we have had a number of memoranda of understanding have been signed between Ghana and India.
On global issues, both leaders agreed that terrorism is the enemy of humanity and resolved to strengthen mutual cooperation to combat the menace.
हम एक मत है कि आतंकवाद मानवता का दुश्मन है। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी लड़ाई में सहयोग के लिए हम गाना का आभार प्रकट करते हैं। इस संदर्भ में हमने काउंटर टेररिज्म में आपसी सहयोग को और मजबूत करने का निर्णय किया है। यूएन रिफॉर्म्स को लेकर हमारा दृष्टिकोण एक जैसा है। पश्चिम एशिया और यूरोप में चल रहे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को लेकर हम दोनों ने गहरी चिंता व्यक्त की है। हमारा मानना है कि यह युद्ध का युग नहीं है। डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी से ही समस्या का समाधान होना चाहिए।
Earlier upon his arrival, in a rare gesture, President John Mahama personally received him at the airport, a testament to the deep-rooted friendship between the two nations. Making the historic visit even more special, Prime Minister Modi was given a rousing welcome by the Indian community in Ghana.
With this landmark visit, India and Ghana have opened a new chapter of trust, technology and teamwork, setting the tone for a stronger global south. With camera person Rakesh and Murmukar Sharma, this is Tapush Bhattacharya signing off from Accra, Ghana.
Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with the National Honour of Ghana, Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana by President of Ghana in recognition for his distinguished statesmanship and also influential global leadership. Accepting the award on behalf of 1.4 billion Indians, Prime Minister dedicated the honour to the aspirations of the youth of India, its cultural traditions and also diversity, and to the historical ties between Ghana and India. Prime Minister thanked the people and government of Ghana for this special gesture.
राष्ट्रपति जी द्वारा गाना के राष्ट्रीय अवार्ड द ऑफिसर ऑफ द ऑर्डर ऑफ द स्टार ऑफ गाना से सम्मानित किया जाना मेरे लिए अत्यंत गर्व और सम्मान की बात है। मैं राष्ट्रपति महामा जी, गाना सरकार और गाना के लोगों का हृदय से आभार प्रकट करता हूं। मैं इस सम्मान को 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ओर से विनम्रता के साथ स्वीकार करता हूं। यह सम्मान मैं हमारे युवाओं की आकांक्षाओं को, उनके उज्जवल भविष्य को, हमारी समृद्ध सांस्कृतिक विविधता और परंपराओं को और भारत गाना के ऐतिहासिक संबंधों को समर्पित करता हूं।
On day one, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Ghana's Vice President Jane Nana Opoku-Agyemang during his visit. The two leaders greeted each other warmly and held productive talks. Later, Secretary Economic Relations in the Ministry of External Affairs, Damu Ravi, held a press briefing where he provided a detailed account of the Prime Minister's visit. He said that both leaders acknowledged the historic significance of the occasion as it marks the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Ghana in over 30 years.
Both the leaders acknowledged that this is a historic visit for the fact that this visit is taking place at the Prime Minister level from India after 30 years. President Mahama clearly acknowledged that it is a landmark visit that is very timely and very opportunistic at a time when Ghana is also looking for partnership with India to deepen economic engagement after its own economic rebound, recovery that it is facing, having gone through the IMF conditionalities and restructuring.
From Ghana, Prime Minister Modi will leave for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago later today. India shares deep-rooted historical, cultural and people-to-people connect with the Caribbean country. He will meet President Christine Carla Kangalo, who was the chief guest at this year's Prasar Bharati Divas, and Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bharati, who had recently assumed office for the second term. Indians first arrived in Trinidad and Tobago 180 years ago. This visit will provide an opportunity to rejuvenate the special bonds of ancestry and kinship that unite the two nations. DD India's correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya sums up Prime Minister's day one of the Ghana visit in this next report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first day in Ghana marked a historic milestone. Upon arrival in Accra, he received a warm and grand welcome from the Ghanaian as well as from India's population in Ghana, with the President John Dramani Mahama personally receiving him at the airport. A rare gesture reflecting the deep bilateral ties that both countries share. In a high-level talks, both nations agreed to elevate relations to a comprehensive partnership level, which is actually quite interesting because earlier that was not the case, and now it has reached a comprehensive partnership level. They discussed key areas of cooperation including trade, digital payment, maritime security and counter-terrorism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also offered to share India's fintech experience with his, with the president of Ghana, including the Bharat UPI. Later, he interacted with the Indian community in Accra and who greeted him. In fact, he interacted with them when he came here in the hotel, and he greeted them with a lot of enthusiasm and pride, and Indian diaspora in Ghana were absolutely thrilled to see him. So that's the first day for sure, and it was an absolute massive hit when it comes to Prime Minister visit to Ghana, the first in more than 3 decades. Prime Minister first day.
All right, so that was our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya telling us more about what happened during Prime Minister's stay in Ghana on day 1. And as we told you from here, the Prime Minister will depart for Trinidad and Tobago today. We'll get to more on this as well. But at present, we will also get you details of what is expected from Prime Minister's visit on the second day in Ghana. And for that, Prime Minister, as we told you, will be leaving for Trinidad and Tobago today. Later in the day, Tapas will also tell us what to expect on day 2 of Prime Minister Modi's visit.
So if the first day was a massive hit, the second day is expected to be even more interesting, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be going to Ghana's parliament and deliver his address there, and it's a proud moment for India. It's a moment to cherish between both the countries. It's a milestone for both the countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be delivering his address there, and everybody in Ghana's parliament, not just in parliament, in fact outside the parliament also, is all set or eager to listen to Prime Minister Modi. He has spoken earlier on the first day about how India's fintech has grown and how India can help Ghana reach a level that they really want to do under their present regime. So it will be interesting to see what message he delivers for Ghana. We believe a lot will be done. On the first day, 4 MOUs were exchanged. We believe in on the second day in the parliament, we will have a more clarity of how both countries can go forward in a way to achieve development goals that they have been thinking of achieving in years to come. Both countries actually came out of the British colonialism, and they both want to become developed nation as soon as possible. So yeah, that's something that one is looking forward to on second day.
All right, so that was our Prime Minister's visit to Ghana. Up next, we're heading for a short commercial break. You're watching DD India News Hour, but after the break, stay with us as we get to the details of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's engagements in the US. Shri Amarnath Ji Yatra begins with offering of the first prayer at the cave today amid tight security. Thousands trek to Holy Cave in South Kashmir. World witnesses extreme weather change in the changing climate scenario. Greek firefighters battle the blaze while heavy rainfall is expected in central India as monsoon advances.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in Washington, D.C. for the Quad Foreign Ministers meet, met FBI Director Kash Patel on the sidelines of the summit. The leaders appreciated the strong cooperation in countering organized crime, drug trafficking and terrorism. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also met U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard on the sidelines of the meeting in Washington, D.C. Both the leaders exchanged their views on the global situation and the bilateral cooperation between the two countries. Addressing the press in Washington, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that Quad ministers unanimously agreed on the objective of strengthening strategic stability in the Indo-Pacific region.
We all agreed strongly that our goal in the Quad was to strengthen strategic stability in the Indo-Pacific. And this meeting, the discussions were largely devoted to enhancing delivery on various initiatives and projects. As is the practice on such occasions, we had a very open, very freewheeling discussion on regional issues of the Indo-Pacific. A lot of that was a granular analysis of different situations, different issues of the Indo-Pacific itself. But again, in the light of recent developments, it is natural that we also spend some time discussing the Israel-Iran conflict, also what the US had done in Iran.
India on Wednesday voiced deep concern over the abduction of 3 of its nationals in Mali, a country grappling with fresh wave of terrorist attacks. The Ministry of External Affairs said that the Indian workers employed at the diamond cement factory in Kayes, Republic of Mali, were taken hostage during a coordinated armed assault on the factory premises on July 1st. A day after the incident, India formally called upon the Mali government to take all necessary measures to ensure their safe and expeditious release. The MEA in a statement said that the government of India unequivocally condemns this deplorable act of violence and calls upon the government of Republic of Mali to take all necessary measures. Senior officials of the ministry are closely monitoring the evolving situation and remain engaged at various levels to facilitate the safe and early release of the Indian nationals. The ministry advises all Indian citizens currently residing in Mali to exercise utmost caution, remain vigilant and stay in close contact with the Embassy of India in Bamako for regular updates and necessary assistance. The monsoon session of India's Parliament will commence from 21st of July and will conclude on August 21st. The Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, on Wednesday said that the President of India approved the government's proposal for convening the monsoon session. He added that in view of the Independence Day celebrations, there will be no sittings on 13th and 14th of August. This monsoon session will be the first since Operation Sindoor, and opposition parties are expected to raise several issues, including a demand for a special discussion on the Pahalgam terror attack. Shri Amarnath Ji Yatra, a pilgrimage to the Amarnath Cave Shrine in Jammu and Kashmir, begins with offering of the first prayer at the cave today. The 38-day-long Yatra, which will culminate on August 9th, is being conducted through the Baltal and Pahalgam routes. The Jammu-Srinagar highway is a key route for thousands of pilgrims heading to the shrine. Around 80,000 soldiers from Indian Army, CRPF, BSF, SSB, CISF, ITBP and Jammu Kashmir Police have been deployed for the security of Amarnath pilgrims. The Yatra sees lakhs of devotees trek through the Himalayan terrain to pay obeisance to the Holy Cave Shrine in Anantnag district of South Kashmir. Kashmir Zone Police has issued advisory for Yatris of Shri Amarnath Ji Yatra. All the pilgrims are advised to travel only in designated convoys originating from Bhagwati Nagar, Batal and Nunwan base camps. The Yatris arriving long before the scheduled date are advised to arrive reasonably prior to their day of Yatra. All right, our correspondent Shabir Dar is joining us from Srinagar. Shabir, good morning. We've just told our viewers about the first prayer being offered at the cave shrine, and also how the Yatra has commenced. You get us more. We've told our viewers about the precautionary measures that have been announced by the administration there, but you get us more details as to what you witnessed, what arrangements have been made to ensure safety and security of the pilgrims.
Yeah, good morning, Preeti. Yeah, the huge enthusiasm is being seen among the pilgrims who have arrived in Nunuman and Pahalgam, base camps from yesterday. Yesterday the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir flagged off the Yatra from Jammu's Bhagwati base camp, Bhagwati Nagar base camp. So this morning in the wee hours, around 10,000 pilgrims from Baltal and Pahalgam base camps, started their trek, the uphill trek to the Amarnath shrine up in the Himalayas. So a lot of arrangements are being put in place by the administration, particularly the security arrangements are foolproof, and revamped security arrangements have been put in place, which include the facial recognition of the pilgrims, and the Yatra routes have been declared as no flying zone areas. Hundreds of bunkers and pickups have been established on the route which connects the shrine. So we can say that no stone is being left unturned to ensure that the Yatra goes smooth and peaceful, because we have seen in past few months, the incidents like Pahalgam and the Indo-Pakistan, conflict, the warlike situation. So this has, in a way, dampened the enthusiasm among pilgrims, but what we have seen from yesterday, the arrival of pilgrims in Kashmir and the enthusiasm in them is that the pilgrims want to give a statement to terrorists that no matter what will be your attacks and other thing, the enthusiasm for the cave shrine or for the pilgrims for the pilgrimage will not die down.
All right, Shabir, also as you tell us that this is after the Operation Sindoor and after the Pahalgam terror attack, this Amarnath Yatra is being conducted. You did tell us about the enthusiasm of the pilgrims, but then spell out more details on the Yatra. Get us a sense of the route of the Yatra, the terrain, and also when we talk of the enthusiasm of the pilgrims, what is it that you witnessed? And put all this together, get us more, and have any special arrangements been made by the administration to ensure the comfort of the pilgrims there, apart from security arrangements?
Yeah, see, the Yatra has it has two routes. One is from the Baltal, which is in the Gandarbal district, which is like 14 kilometers trek from the Baltal base camp, and another is the Nunuman, which is in the Pahalgam area, which is like 2 days trek from Nunuman Pahalgam base camp. Because if anybody travels from Nunuman, he has to have a 2 days trek to reach to the cave shrine. Baltal is the easiest way, and it is only 14 kilometers. If somebody embarks on a journey from Baltal base camp, he can come back in the evening. So that is the protocol, because from Baltal pilgrims take their pilgrimage early in the morning and return after having the darshan in the cave shrine, return back in the evening. But in Pahalgam area, the pilgrims take a longer journey, which is 48 kilometers from Pahalgam to Amarnath shrine. So definitely pilgrims have a longer trek, which is orders, but ample arrangements including medical facilities, these drinking water facility, and canteens have been set up across the route to ensure that pilgrims have faced no problem, be it of the health, first aid or food, laboratories. Everything have been put in this year. Additional arrangements have been ensured to ensure that pilgrims. One more thing is that the track route, which was earlier 6 kilometers wide, have been made 12 feet wide. Earlier it was 6 feet wide. So that shows the arrangements have been, intensified, have been made.
Yes,
very good this
elaborate
time.
arrangements have been made. All right, Shabir Dar, thank you so much for joining in with those details from Srinagar. And the 8th edition of the Indo-French joint military exercise, Shakti 8th, culminated at Camp Larzac, La Cavaleria in France with a formal closing ceremony. The exercise marked the successful completion of an intensive training engagement aimed at enhancing interoperability, mutual trust and tactical coordination between the Indian and French armies. Over the course of the exercise, the Indian contingent comprising of 90 personnel, primarily from Jammu and Kashmir Rifles Battalion and troops from the French Army, participated in a series of mission-oriented drills tailored to sub-conventional operations. The engagement included combat shooting, urban warfare training, obstacle crossing, electronic warfare integration and counter unmanned aerial system operations. As the monsoon continues its journey across the country, the Indian Met Department on Wednesday predicted light to heavy rainfall in Delhi and several other regions. For East and Central India, IMD predicted isolated heavy rainfall over Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Bihar, West Bengal, Sikkim and Jharkhand in the coming days. As far as Northwest India is concerned, it is likely to witness heavy rainfall over Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, East Rajasthan, Haryana, Chandigarh, East Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, West Uttar Pradesh, West Rajasthan and Jammu until 8th of July. Northeastern India would witness light to moderate rainfall at most places accompanied by thunderstorm plus isolated extremely heavy falls over Meghalaya on 5th and 6th of July. South Peninsular India also would be likely to witness isolated heavy rainfall over coastal Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kerala and Mahe, Karnataka till 8th of July. Weather fury continues in the rest of the world. Greek firefighters on Wednesday battled a blaze that raged on the popular vacation destination of Crete, burning forest land, threatening homes and prompting the evacuation of residents and tourists from at least 4 settlements on the island. At least 155 firefighters, assisted by 38 engines and water trucks, battled the flames in the municipality of Lerapatra at the southeastern coast of the country's largest island. Tourist footage captured on Wednesday showed a huge plume of smoke rising from a wildfire in Firma in Greece. The video, filmed from inside a bus, was taken by a tourist who evacuated his hotel and showed travelers in the vehicle watching and recording the scene as smoke rose into the air from a distance. Greece, situated at Europe's southernmost tip, is often hit by wildfires during its hot and dry summers. But authorities have blamed a fast-changing climate scenario for fueling more destructive blazes in the recent years. Wildfires in the Turkish resort town of Sesme, west of Izmir province, raged into the night on Wednesday. Aerials filmed from planes and helicopters battling wildfires showed flames engulfing residential areas as smoke rose above. The governor of Izmir, Suleiman Elban, said that 3 neighborhoods in the area were evacuated as a precautionary measure and the highway connecting Sesme to the main city of Izmir was closed as the fire approached the highway. Turkey's General Directorate of Forestry reported that strong winds reaching speed of up to 60 kilometers per hour made it difficult for firefighters to combat the blaze. Tourists in Prague's UNESCO-listed historic center are coping with temperatures soaring above 30 degrees Celsius, using fans, umbrellas and water bottles to stay cool. A heat wave easing in Western Europe is shifting east, bringing record high temperatures to Germany and the Czech Republic. Visitors have been advised sun protection and seeking shade amid the intense summer heat. A dramatic footage emerged from inside an emergency vehicle on Tuesday as it navigated through a fierce hailstorm in Siplingen in district of Bordenizi, underscoring the country's ongoing battle with extreme and volatile weather. The video captured heavy rain lashing the area, severely reducing visibility and creating dangerous driving conditions. The country has been experiencing an intense heat wave with temperatures soaring well above seasonal norms, exceeding 35 degrees in several regions. The extreme heat has set off unusual and severe weather events across the region. The German Weather Service has issued ongoing alerts, urging citizens to remain vigilant against the heat and also risk of sudden storms. France recorded its second hottest June since 1900, with temperatures 3.3 degrees Celsius above average, just behind June 2003. Nearly 2,000 schools closed early on Tuesday as Europe endured a severe early summer heat wave. Authorities reported over 300 people treated for heat-related illnesses and 2 deaths, though the figures are not officially confirmed. Emergency services in Paris saw a 15% spike in activity.
55 departments are placed on orange alert and 20 on yellow, with an average temperature of 22.2 degrees Celsius and an anomaly of 6.3 degrees Celsius. June 2025 becomes the second hottest June since the beginning of measurements in 1900, behind June 2003.
You're watching Lead India News. Are waiting for a short break, but after the break, Trump to host African leaders at White House for trade-focused talks. In an unprecedented move, Supreme Court in Costa Rica directs President Rodrigo Chavez to be stripped of immunity from prosecution to be tried for corruption. Diddy Combs convicted on 2 of the 5 counts in sex abuse trial to remain jailed for now on being guilty of prostitution-related offences. Welcome back after the break. You're watching Lead India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. India and Ghana elevate bilateral ties to comprehensive partnership, decide to further strengthen cooperation in counter-terrorism efforts, set a target to double the bilateral trade in 5 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi conferred with the National Honour of Ghana, Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana. Prime Minister accepts the award on behalf of 1.4 billion Indians. Iran ends cooperation with UN nuclear watchdog after Israel-US strikes. Washington calls it unacceptable, also says Tehran's nuclear program degraded by up to 2 years due to strikes. US stock indices on fresh records following the trade deal with Vietnam. Oil prices jump after Iran suspends cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. Shubman Gill's stunt puts India on balance against England on day 1 of the Edgbaston Test. Iran officially suspended its cooperation with the new UN nuclear watchdog on Wednesday. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian put into effect on Wednesday a law passed by Parliament last week to suspend cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. The law aims to ensure full support for the inherent rights of the Islamic Republic of Iran under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, with particular focus on uranium enrichment. The law also stipulates that any future inspection of Iran's nuclear sites by the IAEA needs approval by Tehran's Supreme National Security Council. Iran has accused the IAEA of siding with Western countries and providing a justification for Israel's airstrikes, which began a day after the UN agency's board voted to declare Iran in violation of the obligations under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The United States has slammed Iran for suspending cooperation with IAEA. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce told a regular briefing that this was unacceptable and Tehran must cooperate fully with the UN agency without further delay.
It is, we'll use the word unacceptable, that Iran chose to suspend cooperation with the IAEA at a time when it has a window of opportunity to reverse course and choose a path of peace and prosperity. Iran must cooperate fully without further delay.
United Nations has expressed concern over Iran's decision to suspend cooperation with IAEA. During a daily briefing, the spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the Iranian decision was obviously concerning. The UN nuclear watchdog, meanwhile, stated that it is aware of the reports, but the IAEA is awaiting further official information from Iran. The Pentagon said on Wednesday that US intelligence assessments indicated that the strikes on Iran's nuclear sites set the country's atomic program back by up to 2 years.
That we have degraded their program by 1 to 2 years, at least intel assessments inside the department assess that, and I think their intelligence shares that conclusion. I think we're thinking probably closer to 2 years, like degraded their program by 2 years.
Meanwhile, oil prices jumped over 3% after Iranian president approved a law suspending cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog. US crude jumped 3.06% to settle at $67.45 a barrel, and Brent settled at $69.11 per barrel, up by 2.98% as analysts cited a revived chance of fighting between Iran and Israel. Oil prices also rose on Wednesday as traders considered expectations of a supply increase from major producers next month. The OPEC Plus group is scheduled to meet on Sunday, and the market is waiting to see if there will be another hike in August similar to those agreed for May, June and July. Israeli Foreign Minister said on Wednesday that his country was serious about reaching a deal with Hamas to end the conflict in Gaza and return the hostages held there to Israel. US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Israel had accepted the conditions needed to finalize a 60-day ceasefire with Hamas after what he called a long and productive meeting of his representatives with Israeli officials. At a press conference in the Estonian capital of Tallinn, Saar said that Israel is serious to reach a hostage deal and a ceasefire. He added that the end of the Gaza war depends on Hamas laying down its arms and releasing the remaining hostages. He spoke after holding talks with Estonia's Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna.
Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. It is Europe's strategic partner in the region, the only ally which shares the same values and challenges. Hamas still holds 50 of our hostages in crew captivity. The war can end tomorrow if it releases them and lays down its arms. We are serious in our will to reach a hostage deal and a ceasefire.
Protesters, family members of Israeli hostages demonstrated in Tel Aviv on Wednesday, calling for a ceasefire with Hamas and the release of the remaining 50 people still held captive in Gaza. The demonstration was organized by Israeli protester group 101 Watch, an organization of mothers and sisters of the hostages. Protesters also called for the government to end the conflict in Gaza.
Traveling to the United States next week, it must only be to announce a ceasefire, end of the war, and the hostages returning not 1 by 1, not 8 by 8, not 10 by 10. All 50 hostages must come home.
British lawmakers voted on Wednesday to ban pro-Palestinian campaign group Palestine Action as a terrorist organization. It came after its activists broke into a military base and damaged 2 planes in protest at what it says is Britain's support for Israel. Palestine Action, which describes itself as a direct action movement that uses disruptive methods, has routinely targeted companies in Britain with links to Israel, including Israeli defense firm Elbit Systems, which it has called its main target. Proscription would officially designate Palestine Action as a terrorist organization at par with Islamic State or Al-Qaeda under British law, making it a crime to support or belong to the group. Britain's proscription order will reach Parliament's upper chamber, the House of Lords, on Thursday. If approved by the lawmakers there, Palestine Action's ban would become effective in the following days. The group has challenged the decision in court and an urgent hearing is expected on Friday. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday that his country was holding technical-level discussions with the US regarding the delivery of defense aid and air defense components in particular. A decision by Pentagon to halt some shipments of critical weapons to Ukraine prompted warnings by Kyiv that the move would weaken its ability to defend against intensifying airstrikes and battlefield advances. Ukraine said it had called in the acting US envoy to Kyiv to underline the importance of military aid from Washington continuing and cautioned that any cutoff would embolden Russia in its war in Ukraine. The Defense Ministry said it had not been officially notified of any halt in the US shipments and was seeking clarity from its American counterparts. In a setback for US President, a federal judge on Wednesday blocked Trump's bid to ban migrants who have illegally crossed the US-Mexico border from making asylum claims. US District Judge Randolph Maltz said in a case brought by immigrant rights groups and asylum seekers said that Trump's proclamation barring asylum requests exceeded his legal authority and is a violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act. The judge said asylum applications are governed by the INA and the president cannot adopt an alternative immigration system which supplants the statutes that Congress has enacted. Also, the decision applies to migrants who were subject to Trump's ban or could be in the future part of a certified class in the litigation. Such class certifications remain unaffected by last week's Supreme Court's decision reining in nationwide injunctions. White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller launched a scathing attack on federal judge's ruling on Wednesday. Miller, in a social media post, claimed that the federal judge is a Marxist judge attempting to circumvent the Supreme Court. He further added that the West will not survive if US's sovereignty is not restored. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump praised the latest border figures, saying June saw the lowest recorded numbers in United States history. In a post on social media platform Truth Social, Trump said that US Border Patrol reported zero release of illegal migrants into the country. In addition, Customs and Border Protection recorded only 25,243 nationwide encounters in the entire month of June. Trump argued that these numbers showed that the country's borders are now safe and secure and also called on Republicans to keep the situation under control. US President Donald Trump will host leaders from 5 African nations in Washington next week to discuss commercial opportunities. Trump will host leaders from Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania and Senegal for a discussion and lunch at the White House on July 9th. The Trump administration has axed swaths of US foreign aid for Africa as part of a plan to curb spending it considers wasteful and not aligned with Trump's America First policies. It says it wants to focus on trade and investment and to drive mutual prosperity. On Tuesday, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the US was abandoning what he called a charity-based foreign aid model and will favor those nations that demonstrate both the ability and willingness to help themselves. American rapper Diddy Combs acquitted of major racketeering and sex trafficking charges in a New York courtroom on Wednesday, but convicted on 2 lesser prostitution-related counts following a high-profile federal trial. The trial lasted 7 weeks and featured allegations that Combs directed a criminal enterprise over decades. Jurors initially struggled to reach a verdict on the racketeering charge before being instructed by the judge to continue deliberating. Following the mixed verdict, Judge Arun Subramaniam denied Combs' request for bail, citing his admitted history of domestic violence, an element that helped his defense but also factored into the court's decision to keep him in custody ahead of sentencing. Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez lashed out at the Supreme Court on Wednesday, a day after it asked Congress to strip him of immunity from prosecution to be tried for corruption. It is the first time the Central American nation's top court has asked legislators to remove a president's immunity. Chavez is accused of forcing a communication services company hired by the presidency to give $32,000 to his friend and former image advisor, Federico Cruz. Chavez is not allowed to seek a second consecutive term, but politicians close to him have not ruled out his running for a seat in Congress in 2026. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. Donald Trump has announced another trade deal, this time with Vietnam, under which United States will place a lower than promised 20% tariff on many Vietnamese exports. Vietnamese goods would face a 20% tariff and transshipments from third countries through Vietnam and will face a 40% levy. Vietnam could import US products with a 0% tariff, though it was not clear whether the 20% tariff would come on top of the already in effect 10% tariff on goods from Vietnam or whether 20% would be the new level. Meanwhile, the US markets were lifted by gains in tech stocks and news of a trade agreement between the US and Vietnam that helped ease concerns about an extended trade war. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 gained 29.28 points to end at 6,227 points, while the Nasdaq gained 190.24 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 8.7 points. Nepal is accelerating construction of major hydropower projects including Karnali, Upper Karnali, Bheri and Jagadulla. The Budhi Gandaki project will advance as a public-private partnership. Environmental assessments are underway for the Kali Gandaki Tinau diversion project following a Supreme Court directive. Nepal has become a net electricity exporter, boosting revenue from power sales to India. A new tripartite agreement with India and Bangladesh allows seasonal electricity trade during monsoon months. Energy Minister Deepak Khadka said that these projects are key to Nepal's energy strategy and regional development, benefiting Sudur Paschim and Karnali provinces. Next fiscal year, electricity purchases will follow a take and pay model. Indian PSUs, SGVN and NHPC are partnering on hydropower projects in Nepal on the Sethi, Arun and Karnali rivers, strengthening cross-border cooperation. Let's turn focus to sports now. We'll talk of cricket. Captain Shubman Gill scored his second century of the series as he helped India finish day one at 310 for 5 against England at the Edgbaston Test. Shubman Gill and Ravindra Jadeja's unbeaten 99-run stand for the 6th wicket put India on balance at stumps. Earlier, Indian opening batter Yashasvi Jaiswal fell short of his second century of the series, getting dismissed on 87. India lost opener KL Rahul cheaply, while Karun Nair fell for 31 just before lunch. Nair shared an 80-run partnership with Jaiswal. Narayan Singh joins us from the newsroom. Narayan, good morning. Get us a sense of how do we expect day 2 of the Edgbaston Test. We did see that Shubman Gill did not fail in the expectations. Get us more as to how do we see the second day pan out ahead.
Good morning, Preeti. As you mentioned that Shubman Gill, the way he debuted his captaincy in the Test arena was fantastic, scoring 100 in the first Test match at the Leeds, and again a back-to-back 100. We can say stupendous achievement, and a lot of pressure was on him, considering the fact that just captaining the Indian team is always a tough job, and always there's a pressure. And yesterday we saw after dropping Bumrah, resting him for the crucial Test match, we saw broader criticism all across the cricket fans and also the cricket expert, but it showed the belief and we can say that the confidence of the Indian team, that even if Bumrah is rested, he gave his own reasons that at Lords there will be better conditions for Bumrah. He also needed rest. In that sense, he showed that India is confident, and it's also a good sign that even if Bumrah is not playing, we can win the matches. And yesterday, the way they batted, they started the inning, it's good. The match is currently poised, and here from they can on day 2, they should not do the mistakes they did in the first Test match in the Leeds. They were, we can say that at a dominant position in the first Test match. They had scored in the first inning 430 for the lost 3 wickets. And after that, they lost the wickets in bunches. They lost the last 7 wickets just for 41 runs in the first inning of the first Test match. Here, they should not repeat that mistake. They should convert the 100 into a Big Daddy 100. Here, Shubman Gill should make 200 or 200 plus score run, and even Ravindra is there. He should also try to accelerate and score a big 100 here for the Team India, because we know that in English conditions, this English team is very tough. They know how to chase, they how to score the runs, how to take the away match from the opponents, because we know that in the recent time, the baseball has changed the England cricket totally. Because if we take a look, the England's record in the baseball era, they have chased a successful 250 plus targets 6 times. So it's a unique thing about this England team. But the young India team under Shubman Gill is doing great job, and today they need to convert those starts into the big and score at least a 500 plus score here for the Team India here through the Shubman Gill and Ravindra.
All right, Narayan, thank you for joining in with those details. And from cricket, we now turn focus to tennis. Updates from Wimbledon 2025. A record-breaking number of top seeds crashed out in the first round, but Carlos Alcaraz and women's world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka avoided second-round shocks on the centre court. Defending champion Alcaraz needed 2 hours and 17 minutes to subdue world number 733 Tarvet to reach the third round. The second seed hopes to become the 5th man in the Open era to win at least 3 consecutive Wimbledon titles after Jean Borg, Pete Sampras, Roger Federer and 7-time champion Novak Djokovic. In women's singles, top seed Aryna Sabalenka dismantled Czech Mary Boskova for 7-6, 6-4 to advance to the third round on Wednesday. Madison Keys eased past Olga Danilovic 6-4, 6-2 to reach the Wimbledon third round. The Australian Open champion is on the hunt for further Grand Slam glory at the All England club and could become the first woman since the great Serena Williams to win those 2 majors in the same season. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.